I'm Ed Rimmer. I'm Chief Executive for Time Finance. I've spent nearly 30 years in lending to small businesses in terms of that industry. I spent about 22 years at Bibby Financial Services, who are one of the largest independent lenders. Joined as a graduate back in 1995. And worked my way through that organisation and ended up as UK Chief Exec. Joined Time Finance, it was previously called 1PM, back in 2017, and then I actually left when we got to lockdown and then came back, long story, about 4 years ago when I was made Chief Exec. So yeah, that's a very potted history. Look, small businesses, they're really interesting. Loads of characters. No business is the same. Lots of them are, by their very nature, entrepreneurial businesses. So they find a way. They find a way to compete. They find a way to succeed. I love, going. The best part of the job was going out and seeing businesses and clients and customers. I don't do as much of that now because obviously I have people doing that, but I still look at files, I still look at client portfolios, and small businesses is ultimately what makes the I think the UK economy thrive, and we ultimately play our part in that in terms of supporting them. So the excitement for me is lending to small businesses. It's more alive in front of you, and the people that run the businesses, you get to know and you can talk to them, and we understand how important that is for their business, and we try and do that for our business in terms of the service we provide to them. So it's really important that us as a relatively small lender compared to some of the banks have that appreciation of what our clients go through, because then you can get more empathy. It's also how you categorize small businesses. You get very small businesses, one-man bands, you get some slightly larger businesses, family businesses that may employ 20, 30 people, but even businesses that employ 50 people with £20 million turnover, they're still classed as small businesses. Now, the banks will, support those slightly larger businesses, but at the other end of the spectrum, the traditional small businesses, they're not really interested. And that's clearly where there's opportunities for people like ourselves as an alternative lender, independent lender, to fill that void, and that's effectively what we do. The easiest way to describe it is that we lend money to small businesses and we help them to grow, but we also help them to survive. And I'm not at all embarrassed or uncomfortable to admit that, because lots of small businesses, they don't make millions and zillions of pounds. They're there to keep themselves in a job and keep families in a job and try and make ends meet sometimes. So quite often we have businesses that are in survival mode, but we also help businesses grow. So it's both of those cycles. We're not a bank, so we're an independent lender. Our job is to go and borrow the money at the cheapest rates possible from the banks, who are the deposit takers, and to lend that money on in terms of the facilities that we choose to. And the facilities at the moment mainly are invoice finance and asset finance. And I can obviously describe a little bit more detail what they are. But our business model is to lend that money on, make sure that we have as minimal bad debts as possible, because we're lending to small businesses, and with that come some risks. Make sure that we have a cost base which is as efficient as possible, and out of that, at the end of it, we make some money, and that's as simple a way as putting it.